What is true power? Is it found in the march of conquering armies, in the gilded thrones of emperors who command nations? Is it in the raw, untamed force of nature, the hurricane that scours the land, the earthquake that splits the very ground beneath our feet? For millennia, humanity has chased these fleeting phantoms of strength, building empires of stone and steel, believing that what can be seen and touched is what truly endures. But we have been looking in the wrong direction. We have been listening to the wrong sounds. The greatest power, the most formidable and world-altering force in all of existence, is not a physical thing at all. It is unseen, unheard by the ear, yet it carries the weight of creation itself. It is a word, a revelation so potent, so suffused with absolute reality, that if it were to be sent down upon the most ancient and unyielding of mountains, those silent titans of stone would not simply tremble. They would collapse. They would humble themselves in awe, crack and splinter, and turn to dust before a truth they could not possibly bear. Tonight, we embark on a journey not across lands, but into the heart of meaning itself. We will seek out this truth, uncovering a verse in the Holy Quran that reveals the awesome, terrifying, and exquisitely beautiful weight of divine speech. It is a verse many have read, but which few have truly heard. It is a key to understanding not only the nature of God, but the astonishing, paradoxical capacity of the human heart. For the very revelation that could shatter mountains was sent down not upon stone, but upon the soul of a human being. Join me as we explore the mystery of the verse that breaks mountains and discover the apocalypse that lies waiting within us all. In the chronicles of the soul, there are moments of profound stillness, moments when the universe seems to hold its breath, waiting for a single word to change everything. Imagine a wanderer in the vast, empty quarter of the desert. The sun has beaten down on him for days. His hope has withered, and his spirit is as barren as the sands around him. He collapses, not in despair, but in surrender. And in that silence, a whisper comes to him, not on the wind, but from within. A single truth that rearranges his entire world. He rises, no longer a lost wanderer, but a man with a destiny, a prophet whose path will now carve rivers through the desert of his time. This is the power of revelation, a force that does not push but unveils, and in that unveiling transforms all that is. This very power is described with breathtaking imagery in the Quran, in a chapter called Al-Hashr, the Gathering. The verse is the 21st, and it is not a command or a law, but a profound parable aimed directly at the human heart. It says, "Had we sent down this Quran on a mountain, you would surely have seen it humbling itself and rending asunder from the fear of Allah. Such are the parables we put forward to mankind that they may reflect." Let us pause here and truly absorb this image. The Quran is not speaking of a literal event, but of a metaphysical reality. The mountain is the ultimate symbol of physical strength, of permanence, of something so immense and solid it seems eternal. It is the anchor of the world, steadfast and unmoving. Yet this divine text, this collection of sounds and words, possesses a weight far greater than any physical object. If this revelation were to make contact with the mountain's very essence would be undone. It would first humble itself, kashian, a word that implies not just lowering, but a deep conscious state of awe-filled submission. Then it would rend asunder, mutasadian, cracking and splitting apart from the inside out. And the cause of this disintegration is not a physical impact, but kashyatila, the overwhelming, soul-shaking awe of the divine presence. The mountain cannot bear it. Its physical nature is incompatible with the sheer intensity of this spiritual truth. And here lies the central, stunning paradox of our existence. This same revelation, this word that could pulverize granite, was not sent down upon a mountain. It was sent down, verse by verse, into the heart of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and through him it was offered to the heart of every human being. What does this say about us? It suggests that this vessel of flesh and blood, this fragile human heart, possesses a capacity that is, in a spiritual sense, greater than that of a mountain. It can become a receptacle for a truth that creation itself cannot contain. This is not a concept unique to Islam. It is a universal truth echoed across the great spiritual traditions of humanity, a recognition that the divine word is the ultimate creative and transformative force. In the Hebrew scriptures, we witness this same awesome power at Mount Sinai. When God descends to deliver the 10 Commandments, the narrative tells us that Mount Sinai was covered with smoke because the Lord descended on it in fire. The smoke billowed up from it like smoke from a furnace, and the whole mountain trembled violently. The people witnessing this were terrified. They stood at a distance and told Moses, "Speak to us yourself, and we will listen. But do not have God speak to us, or we will die." The unmediated divine word was too much to bear. Creation itself, in the form of the mountain, trembles. The human constitution, in its unprepared state, shrinks from it. In the Christian tradition, this idea is crystallized in the concept of the Logos, a Greek term meaning the Word. The Gospel of John begins with a mystical declaration. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. Here, the Word is not merely communication. It is the very agent of creation, the divine intelligence that brings order out of chaos and existence out of nothingness. The words spoken by Jesus in the Gospels are depicted as having this same creative power, calming storms, healing disease, commanding the unseen. His parables were not just stories. They were seeds of a new reality planted in the hearts of his listeners. Travel east, to the ancient wisdom of the Vedas, and you find the concept of Shabda Brahman, the ultimate reality in the form of sound. The sacred syllable Om, or Om, is held to be the primordial vibration from which the entire cosmos emerged. To chant it is to align oneself with the creative sound of the universe, to touch the source of all being. The mantras of the sages were not mere prayers, but sonic formulas believed to shape reality, to heal the body and awaken the soul. The word, when spoken with pure intent, becomes a bridge between the human and the divine. This universal thread is perhaps most beautifully woven in the tapestry of Sufi mysticism. The mystics of Islam took the parable of the mountain to its most profound conclusion. They pointed to a sacred saying, a hadith Qudsi, where God speaks in the first person, "The heavens and the earth cannot contain me, but the heart of my faithful servant can." Here is the secret unlocked. The heart, when polished and purified, becomes a mirror capable of reflecting the infinite. It is not made of stone that resists, but of a substance that can receive. Rumi, the great mystic poet, speaks of this through the metaphor of the reed flute, which must be emptied of itself before it can be filled with the breath of the musician and produce a beautiful melody. Our hearts, he tells us, are like that reed. They must be hollowed out of ego, pride, and attachment, the very qualities that make a mountain hard and unyielding, before they can be filled with the divine breath and sing the song of truth. The mountain in the verse is a symbol of the hardened heart. It is the ego, the nafs, which stands defiant and says, "I am." It is the edifice of our pride, our certainties, our attachments to the material world. It is a structure that appears strong, but is in fact brittle. It cannot receive a truth greater than itself without shattering. The apocalypse spoken of in this verse is not an event at the end of time. It is an unveiling that can happen at any moment. The Greek word apocalypsis means just that, a removal of the veil. When the divine word touches the soul, it shatters the illusions we have built around ourselves. It reveals the fragility of our ego and the true, enduring reality of the spirit. Think of the great turning points in human history. They are almost always precipitated not by a clash of armies, but by the power of an idea, a word. The philosophies of the Buddha, the dialogues of Socrates, the sermons of Jesus, the revelation of the Quran. These were words that entered the world and broke open old empires of the mind. Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream, spoken on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, was a word that cracked the mountain of segregation. A single scientific paper containing the equation E=mc2 was a word that unveiled a new and terrifying power hidden within the atom. This is the power the Quran speaks of, a truth so fundamental that once it is seen, the world can never look the same again. It is a force that doesn't just change minds, it recreates reality. So how do we, as fragile human beings, prepare our hearts to receive such a force without being destroyed by it? The verse gives us the key, khashya, that profound state of awe. This is not the fear of a tyrant, which makes one cower and flee. It is the awe one feels standing before an ocean in a storm, or gazing into the star-dusted infinity of the night sky. It is a feeling that dissolves the ego, that makes one feel both infinitesimally small and intimately connected to something immeasurably vast. It is the beginning of humility. This is the path of spiritual practice in every tradition, to soften the heart, to make it receptive. In Islam, this is done through dhikr, the remembrance of God, a practice of polishing the heart's mirror so it can reflect the divine light. It is achieved through tafakkur, deep contemplation on the signs of God in nature and in ourselves, recognizing our utter dependence on a reality greater than us. It is found in prayer, not as a recitation of demands, but as an intimate conversation, a bearing of the soul. It is realized in service to others, an act which forces us to step outside the prison of our own needs and connect with the shared humanity in another. Let us try a small reflection right here, right now. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture in your mind the tallest, strongest mountain you can imagine. See its jagged peaks, its rock-solid foundations. This mountain is your ego. It is the collection of all your fears, your pride, your unshakable opinions, your attachments. It feels permanent. It feels like you. Now, imagine a single ray of pure, brilliant light descending from the heavens. This is a truth you have been avoiding, a revelation your soul knows it needs but your mind resists. Watch as this light touches the peak of your mountain. Don't imagine it bouncing off. Imagine it being absorbed, and as it is absorbed, feel a deep tremor from within. See cracks begin to form, not with a violent explosion, but with a deep, resonant groan. The parts of you that are built on falsehood, on fear, on arrogance, begin to crumble. It may feel terrifying, like a death. But watch what happens as the stone falls away. It does not leave a void. It reveals a landscape beneath, a green, fertile valley you never knew existed. A spring of pure water begins to flow. This is the inner apocalypse. This is the shattering that brings life. The mountain must fall for the garden to grow. This is the ultimate message of this powerful verse. It is an invitation. The divine word is perpetually being sent down, but on which ground does it fall? Does it fall on the hardened, unreceptive stone of a mountain, which can do nothing but break before it? Or does it fall on the soft, prepared soil of a humbled heart, where it can take root and give rise to a paradise of wisdom, compassion, and unshakable peace? The greatest power in the universe is not in resistance, but in surrender. Not in the hardness of stone, but in the receptivity of the soul. The Quranic verse is not a threat of destruction, but a promise of transformation. It tells us that within each of us is a capacity for receiving truth that is far greater than the mightiest of mountains. The true apocalypse is the unveiling of this potential within our own hearts. This shattering of the self is not a descent into nothingness, but an ascension into true being. It is the moment the cage of the ego breaks, allowing the spirit to finally soar. It is the death of the illusion that we are separate, and the birth into the reality that we are all expressions of a single, magnificent whole. This journey, this inner apocalypse, is the greatest adventure a human being can undertake. It is the path from fear to love, from darkness to light, from the brokenness of the mountain to the wholeness of the garden. The verse is a mirror, reflecting our own spiritual state, and it is a doorway, inviting us to step through the ruins of our own making and into the luminous presence of a reality that has been waiting for us all along. May we all find the courage to let our mountains crumble and the grace to cultivate the garden within. If this reflection touched your heart and expanded your understanding, join our community for more journeys in search of the hidden truth in history and the human soul. In our channel, we explore the great questions of life, from the wisdom of ancient scriptures to the mysteries of the cosmos. We believe that the wisdom we revive from ancestral sources can strengthen your spirit and illuminate your path. Your support is vital. We ask that you subscribe, share, like, and comment. This helps us reach more seekers of truth. Your feedback inspires us and helps us shape the future of our journey together. May peace and light be with you all. May we find wisdom and strength on our journey. Until the next video.